Wachiska, and it'll take you to the previous ones that are there. Good evening, everyone. My name is Teresa Pella, and I am the 2021 president of the Wachiska Audubon Society. Wachiska is an independent chapter of National Audubon with a geographical area stretching through 17 counties in southeast Nebraska. The organization mission includes bringing people together to learn about and protect tallgrass prairies as important habitats for birds and other wildlife, promote birding, and advocate for the natural community that includes human beings. You can track what's happening through Wachiska's website and Facebook page and learn how to join in activities and events. The topic for tonight's presentation is about an effort to help make birding accessible and enjoyable for those with disabilities. Birdability is a nonprofit organization that has created a map of areas across the country that anyone can visit and works to increase the number of such sites. Our speaker, Cassandra Dean, is Nebraska's Birdability captain. Cassandra also recently became a Nebraska Master Naturalist, and I had the pleasure of meeting her when we both took a Games and Parks nature journaling workshop this summer. And she and her son Keith stepped up when we were looking for volunteers for the August Tour of the Wild Side. Her day job, Cassandra's day job, is administrator of the Gage County Historical Society and Museum. Please join me in welcoming Cassandra. So I'll turn it over to you. Do you prefer questions as you go along? You want people to hold them or put them in the chat box?
Yeah, if you can put your questions in the chat box, and then Teresa at the end, if you could just relay those back to me, that'd be great. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. My name is Cassandra Dean, and I'm the Birdability captain for Nebraska. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. And I am a white woman with short red hair, glasses, and I'm wearing a teal shirt with a flowery scarf. Okay. So let me begin by sharing my PowerPoint here. Okay, can everyone see that? Yeah, okay, good.
Yes.
Accessibility for birding. Birdability is committed to making the birding community and outdoors accessible, safe, welcoming, and inclusive for everybody and everybody. Our mission is to remove barriers to access for birders with mobility challenges, blindness or low vision, intellectual or development disabilities, including autism, mental illness, being deaf or hard of hearing, and other health concerns. So where it all began, as Teresa mentioned, I currently am the museum administrator for Gage County Historical Society and Museum in Beatrice, Nebraska. But previously, I worked for Nebraska Game and Parks at Mahoney State Park. And one of the topics that you usually get is these emails at work about the crane migration out there with Rose Sanctuary in Fort Kearney. So in 2016, I went to see the crane migration for the first time. And now let me be clear about this. I was not a birder before 2016, but after the crane migration, I became a birder. And in fact, I became such an avid birder that in 2019, I decided to become a master naturalist just so I can volunteer at Spring Creek Prairie. And then why accessibility? In 2012, I developed 3 autoimmune diseases: fibromyalgia, ME, and Raynaud's disease. And so I have to adapt my habits and my personally my diseases with my juggling of my personal life, because I am a single mom. So I'm a full-time single mom who homeschools her son, who's a junior right now. I'm also a full-time employee with Gage County Historical Society and Museum. I'm also a master naturalist and I volunteer with Birdability. So I keep pretty busy, and that also isn't good with my autoimmune disease because I have a tendency to, I'm in pain all the time. I can't control my body temperature, and I'm in constant fatigue. So for example, when I'm in a constant fatigue, there are days I can find myself hiking 4 to 5 miles, and there are days I can't even go more than 0.5 miles. So I adjust where I go for bird watching based on what level of activity I do. So when did I hear about Birdability? In 2018, I came across the article from Travis Audubon about Virginia Rose. And if you guys want to see that article, you're sure welcome to click. I can put it in the chat box. So when I first read it, I was like, oh, that is so great. I hope she succeeds in making Birdability a success. I wasn't really thinking about it like on a long-term scale. But then when I was homeschooling my son, I joined a homeschooling network with parents and with kids with accessibility issues. And I also was tutoring my friend's autistic son. And I noticed one thing. I noticed that they always complained about how accessible the outdoors really are, and how they just, when they see these bird watching outings or kayaking outings, a lot of them were getting depressed because they just know that they couldn't do the activity. So then I was thinking, what can I do to help the situation? Because I myself find it hard sometimes to go. So in October of 2020, I came across another article in Birdwatchers magazine about Birdability. So I stepped up and I called Virginia right there in October, and we were on the phone for like 5 different times. And then in November 2020, she told me I could become a Birdability captain. And now no one can predict what an individual with an accessibility challenge can or cannot do. So Virginia Rose is the founder of Birdability. It is a nonprofit, just became a nonprofit actually in January. And she's a birder with a spinal cord injury. She uses a manual wheelchair and is the founder of Birdability. So what is a Birdability captain? So Birdability captains are birders interested in actively working to improve inclusion and accessibility in their communities. They may do this by intentionally seeking out potential accessible birding locations and completing Birdability site reviews to populate the Birdability map, by holding accessible birding outings, and by advocating for access improvements. There's no minimum amount of engagement required except that you have the desire to get involved. So in November, I had that desire to get involved because I did see the lack of it here in Nebraska. So I'm just going to go through what I do as a Birdability captain. The first thing I do is I help organizations and sites put their birding sites on the map. As you can see here, this is what our birding site map looks like so far in Nebraska. Not too many sites are on there yet. Hopefully we can get some more on that. So National Audubon and Birdability has crowdsourced this map, and that way organizations could tag their birding site, okay? If it's accessible, great. Does it have to be totally accessible? No, and here's why. As my next job as a Birdability captain is to visit the sites and act as a collaborator with organizations on ideas to expand their accessibility within their budget. So right now, I meet with Rose Sanctuary in Spring Creek Prairie, and I give them ideas and suggestions on how to make their already existing accessible site even more accessible. And that's what I do. I'm also currently right now working with Game and Parks to try to make Branch Oak Lake put on the map for an accessible birding site. So here's another thing I do. I also assist organizations in appropriate wording. I also collaborate with organizations on wording for interpretive signs, flyers, Zoom programs, and websites. And so then the question goes, are you always using alt text and image descriptions for pictures? That could be something to think about if you're not. That is great for people who are blind because they have these neat devices that will read every description of those pictures for them so they don't have to see the picture. On Zoom, are you using closed captioning? And this was where I was trying to get closed captioning to work for the Zoom.
Sandra, I'm getting closed captioning for your whole program here.
That is because I accessed it through my PowerPoint, which
Okay.
I'm not sure if you guys knew that, but you can actually turn your PowerPoint on for closed captioning.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
On flyers and websites, are you using the correct fonts, sizes, and colors? And also, are you using inclusive language, like saying bird outing instead of bird walks? Don't say the word normal or the word handicapped, or don't say the word see you later to someone with low vision or is blind. So I assist organizations in using appropriate wording for like your websites, interpretive signing, flyers, things like that. So here's an example. Over to the, my left, you see the Marilyn Monroe portrait, right? Famous portrait. I'm sure all of you know what that is, but that's what you see if you're a normal vision. But if you look over to the right, that's actually what a red-green color blindness person would see. So if you're doing your words or your flyers, you're making sure your color combinations are correct. Otherwise, someone who has the color blindness may not be able to see everything you typed up on those flyers or websites. So that's pretty important. I also assist organizations in developing accessible birding outings. So if Wachiska Audubon wants to do an accessible birding outing, I can assist. And here's a couple of things I can assist with. I can bring equipment such as binoculars, binocular harnesses, and noise reducing headphones. Now, binoculars are used for people who has a sensory issue or a veteran that has a PTSD issue. So binoculars are pretty good for those type of people. Binocular harnesses are good for people who can't hold their binoculars for extended periods of time. And the noise reducing headphones are for those who are autistic or epileptic, who noise can trigger a response and have them go into seizure or have them shut down if they're autistic. I can also make arrangements with sign language interpreters. So I have this connection with the Nebraska School for the Deaf and their list of sign language interpreters for the state of Nebraska. I can also help with advertising with ES units, Nebraska Autism Society, and stroke support groups. August 28th was our first accessible bird outing at Spring Creek Prairie here in Nebraska. And we had lovely 2 ladies show up. And I know it's the first outing and I was like so hoping for like a bigger turnout, but then I realized that we're not, Birdability isn't out there. And so this is why I approached you guys, because we need to get Birdability out there and get it going here. So the other thing we can do is we can also help with curriculum development. So right now, our Birdability co-director, Freya, and the Birdability captain of Tennessee are putting together a curriculum for bird identification for the blind. So we can definitely, I can share that with the centers here in Nebraska, or I can also assist if anybody else wants a different curriculum. We have these little rack cards I could supply rat cards to nature centers. I get the privilege of printing those off for anybody who wants them. And then in the future, I can make arrangements for nature centers, any organization that wants to sell Birdability merchandise in their gift shop if they want to. We do have Birdability t-shirts that we're getting ready to be made. Where to go from here? So if you're interested in Birdability and you want to help me, one of the great ways is to book Freya or Virginia to discuss Birdability at special events. And these two, like I said, Virginia is the president, and she does awesome speaking arrangements if you ever want to do that. Then if any one of you would like know of a bird site that is like has lots of beautiful birds and you want to put it on the map, you guys can do that. In fact, I don't have to do them all. That's a lot of bird sites in Nebraska if I had to go to every single one. So if you guys know of a bird site that's not already on the map and you want to put it on the map, you're welcome to do that. If you know of an organization that needs to expand their accessibility, just let me know so I can reach out to them and assist them, okay? Also, you can take part in having accessible birding outings at different locations. So maybe in the future, if Wachiska wants to, they can have their own accessible bird outings to invite people on. Another way you can help is by following Birdability's Facebook page. We share lots of virtual events. So Birdability is also into having those in person, but also those virtual events, because we know sometimes people just can't get outside. Or like me, when I've used up all my energy and I'm in so much pain, I can't get out of bed. I mean, literally in tears because I can't move. Going on a virtual bird watching site is just like awesome, especially when Birdability does them in every single state, and you can see the birds in Georgia if you wanted to. Another one is follow Accessibility in Nebraska Outdoors. This is my Facebook page that I created so that anybody with accessibility challenges can hook up and go to these events or post different technology advances that have come out to help people to have accessibility in the outdoors. And that's if you want to follow that. And then the other way is to donate to Birdability. So the Birdability website does have a button on it. You can just click it. And then if you want to donate to Birdability, you can. And all those proceeds will help Birdability get the word out there, help us get those accessible sites on the map, and also help us get those outings going for people with accessibility. So next Friday, October 22nd at 6:30 p.m., I'm actually going to do a Game and Parks with Game and Parks, a Zoom event on how to fill out a site review for that map. So if you want to learn how to fill one of those out and you want to go out and do one for a bird site you like, that would probably be a great place to start, is by attending that Zoom event. Also, next Saturday, October 23rd, Bird Conservancy is having an accessible bird outing in Gearing, Nebraska. I helped them get that started and help them with their advertising. So because next week is Birdability week, so it's a whole week of Birdability events going on, not in just Nebraska, but in every single state. So if you want to go to the Birdability website and want to look at those events, you're sure welcome to. And then next Sunday, October 24th, is the Hoot and Howl event at Spring Creek Prairie. And Jason and I are going to do the Raptor Show live over Facebook for those who accessibly can't make it to the event. And also I'll be there with some of those rap cards in Birdability. So does anybody have any questions about Birdability and what I do with Birdability?
Anyway, so there, I don't see any in the chat box yet. So when the mapping part, so
Mhm.
doesn't have to just be a site, a Wachiska site or anything like that. Say, for example, Holmes Lake,
Mhm.
saline, wetlands. You just are looking to get as many sites on the map as possible.
Right. So there's a checklist on these printable. There's a printable checklist, and then there's a checklist when you go online to actually put it on the site on the map. And that checklist will go into questions such as, are the handicap parking lots paved? Is there handicap restrooms? Are the railings to the bridges under 3 feet high?
Mhm.
Are the trails, are they grass? Are they gravel? Are they paved? And they'll go through all these questions for
Okay.
you. And those questions are going to make you realize, like, oh, I didn't think about that being inaccessible or accessible. And what we're trying to do is, even if the site is not accessible at all, we still want you to put it on the map, because we want to make it clear that, like for me, let's just say, one thing I was explaining to Olivia from Game and Parks is I can't control my body temperature anymore. So when I go out hiking, I have to have lots of shade in order to be able to, when I get overheated, I need shade in order to, because I can't control my body heat. And if there's a site on the map that says no shade, I'm more than likely not going to go to that site. But if there's a site on the map that says lots of shade, I'm more than likely going to go to that site to go bird watching. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
also, it also makes awareness to the organization that, hey, I might have to do something better to make that more accessible.
Mhm.
So if it doesn't have shade, what can I do to get more shade on the trails or on the seating areas or in the around the birds blinds, just things like that.
Right. Okay. All right. Here's a question. Are the birds at Row wheelchair accessible?
Yeah, so the blinds are on the outside wheelchair accessible because they have the ramp going up. But unfortunately, what happened during the construction is they didn't put the windows low enough.
Yeah.
So the windows are not the right height for those blinds for anyone in a wheelchair. And that is something Ro and I were discussing on different ways to make that feasible, or even possibly having to get a new grant in order to fix that problem. But yeah.
Hmm. Okay.
So,
I've got a cool question.
Go ahead, Tim.
Do you have any access to the funds from, let's say, city government or Nebraska Game and Parks to make improvements in certain sites if you think they're really good quality sites?
yeah, unfortunately, I do not. So right now, like I said, Birdability just became a nonprofit. So we're trying to find donors to become our founders circle donors. So right now we don't have enough money, but eventually the goal is that Birdability will be one of those that will offer grants for organizations that want to make accessible sites. At the moment, I don't have any other funds, but I can recommend grants. Olivia said the wildlife grant from Game Parks can actually help make sites accessible. I know there's some other grants that will also do that as well. So.
Okay, there's a question for Dwayne. Cassandra, if you could just put your email address in the chat box for people if they want to email you offline.
Yeah. Was there any other thing that you wanted in the chat box as well that came from my PowerPoint presentation?
Well, is it possible to send your presentation to Arliss and she can send it out to folks who may be interested?
Yeah.
Just in general, I suppose you want to have sites that are fairly level and not too many steep hills and so forth. Is that right?
Yeah, you want to try to not have much slope, but if there is a slope, then you got to think about, is there a railing for people to get up and down that slope?
Mhm.
Or I know I've been reaching out to, like, Ponca State Park has just gotten access to outdoor wheelchairs that just like can go over mountains pretty much. So trying to get centers to be able to rent those to people who need access to parts of the trail that might be too steep is a good idea as well. So
Cassandra?
yeah.
Once these places are set up and people who can use them do so, are there ever any organized bird watching trips that go there, or is this pretty much a person's, to do on their own?
Well, at the moment, it's for the person to do as their own. Like
Okay.
I said, I'm trying to get more outings done throughout the state. So like August, I did one at Spring Creek. There's going to be one next week at Gearing. But it's just a slow process because the word isn't out about birdability. And eventually, like with Roe, I was talking to them like in 3 years, I would like to get a bus trip out there, for an accessible bus ride and an bird outing for the crane migration. But it's going to take some time because we're brand new.
If you would let Wachiska know when there's something like that might come along, or when there's a special event. We have lots of birders in this group. Many birders. So if you'd let us know far enough ahead, we could put that in the newsletter.
Yeah.
Asking for help.
Yeah.
Okay.
And along those same lines, if there's someone who is interested in partnering with Cassandra, so she doesn't necessarily have to do all the work, but might be someone, who wants to partner with doing a bird outing. Here's a question. Do Parks and Rec have any money set aside for improving accessibility?
That I am not sure on. Right now, all I'm helping with Parks and Rec about is, are you talking about Game and Parks, or are you talking about the City of Lincoln Park and Recs?
It says Parks and Rec, so my impression is the City of Lincoln, unless Mary, you want to pipe in?
I haven't done anything with the City of Lincoln quite yet. I did approach Pioneers Park and the Nature Center, but they haven't replied back yet. So I'm in waiting to hear back from them if they want to. As for Game and Parks, right now we're just focusing on getting the information about birdability out, and as well getting some of their parks on the map. So that's what we did this last Monday with Branch Oak State Recreation Area. So
okay.
So, I was going to say Holmes Lake in Lincoln is pretty convenient for people, and I wonder, have you checked that out or taken a look at it? Holmes Lake.
I can definitely look at it. I haven't checked it out right now. I typically go birding in Wilderness Park because I live south of Lincoln.
Oh yeah.
So I haven't really checked out Holmes Lake too much yet. Like Teresa said, I'm just one person, and there's a whole lot of bird sites here in Nebraska, and which is great. I mean, we have tremendous migration that come through here, and that's why if you are a person that wants to help out and you want to put one of those sites on the map, you're sure welcome to. I'm just here to coach you through that. If you need help or if you had questions, then I can answer those. So.
Okay, just as a side note, this topic is actually pretty timely right now, because during our September board meeting, the board adopted an equity, diversity, inclusion policy that you can now find on the Wachiska webpage, our homepage of the website. So it's kind of timing is good for this presentation.
I've got another question. Is there such a thing as an organization that that have names and phone numbers and addresses of handicapped people that you have access to, or how do you reach out to these folks?
Yeah, so most of these advertising, so let me clarify at the last, since this organization is new and I'm just new being a captain. In August, when we were doing the Spring Creek Prairie Audubon Center, I made the mistake of just advertising with the general public. And then my connection at the Nebraska School of Deaf said that might not have been the wisest idea. And I'm like, that's probably right. She suggested that when we do accessible outings, that you just need to focus in rehabilitation centers. So putting flyers up in there, ESU units, putting flyers in there. And if you know any of them, like make connections with them. So right now I'm trying to make connections with Mosaic and Beatrice to do a birding outing. Hopefully in the future with them. So it's just basically knowing where those groups are located at, where you want to have that outing too. And I also have, because my friend has an autistic son, I also know someone with the Nebraska Autism Society. So just, I can advertise them on their Facebook page or something like that. So yeah, just knowing all that.
Marilyn.
I just wanted to say what I expect a lot of people watching are thinking, which is I am just totally in awe of the work that you are doing, the creativity of it, and inventing things, I think, every day. And thank you so much for it.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I kind of figured that with my own illness, that in the future, there's going to be a time where I'm not going to be able to get out as much as I can now. And I felt like I didn't want to miss out. I mean, I enjoy fishing, hiking, camping, bird watching, and archery. And I don't want to miss out when I get up there and I can't move because I've lost all, feeling in my legs and stuff, because that's usually what ends up happening. And I just thought, if it'd be nice to have like a group where I can be together with some people that are the same as me, as well as being able to make sure that these sites are accessible in the future. And so, yeah.
Well, you're doing phenomenal work. It's just amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's something that's really needed, I think.
Yes, I think we all tip our hats to you and the work you're doing.
Thank you.
Most definitely. Thank you so very much for this presentation, Cassandra.
Yes, you're welcome.
So could you repeat now, if we wanted to suggest sites or add sites to the website, how do you go about that?
Yeah, so you go to birdability.org, and there's
Okay.
a link that says Birdability Map. And if you go there, there's going to say suggest a site review, and that's going to take you to the questionnaire list. But if you don't feel comfortable doing the questionnaire list right away, you can print one and fill that out first, and then go online to do it, because there is a lot of questions and it can be time consuming. Like I said, next Friday, I'm doing a presentation on how to fill out those site reviews. So if you want to be part of that, you can also sign up for that through the Wildlife Education in Nebraska Game and Parks.
Okay, let's see. Looks like another question in the chat box. Have you applied for any local area grants? And again,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I have not applied for local area grants. Most of the money has to go directly to Birdability. us captains, we don't get paid. This is all volunteer. And the money goes to Birdability, and then Birdability will distribute that money where it needs to go. And so you just donate the grants to Birdability, or any donations to Birdability goes to them. So,
And that's Birdability, that's the national level, the umbrella organization.
yes, that is
Okay.
correct.
Okay, all right. Another comment, this has been a very eye-opening presentation for, I think, everyone here. So again, thank you for that.
Yes, you're welcome.
I shouldn't say this, but I will. We've have a team, you might say, who have led our bird hikes, field trips for many years, and they should be a really encyclopedia of knowing where the best spots are for handicapped people. And I'll just give you their names. There's John Carlini and Sherry Schwartz, and we could maybe put you in touch with them, because I think they would be really good people to get to know as far as where the best sites are and what kind of facilities are there and so forth.
Yes, I would really appreciate that. Yeah, the more people I can connect with, the more we can get Birdability out there to those people that need it. So, yeah, definitely.
Although if you've ever gone birding with Sherry, she goes bushwhacking through some pretty dense
Okay.
spots. Okay, anyone else on this or any other topic?
How about the COVID-19? Is that going to slow things down a little bit, or is there any rules that you're following to deal with the COVID-19 business?
Well, as for COVID-19, well, what I'm trying to do is get most of our outings to be both virtual, like a hybrid event, virtual and also in person, because we understand that some of you may not be comfortable going out in public. And so that's the key, is to make sure that all of our outings are virtual as well. And that's how the Birdability's goal too is, if you go to their website, they have tons of virtual outings in other states, so that anybody from any state can go and watch the birds with them. It's just not for just like Georgia Audubon or Travis Audubon. I mean, that is the goal of Birdability. So.
Okay. All right. Well, any last words that you have for us, Cassandra?
Yeah, I just hope that Wachiska can be a longtime partner with Birdability, and I hope that I can see some of you or help me get some outings and get started here in Nebraska, and I really appreciate that. So, yeah.
All right. Well, let's give her a round of applause. And with that, thank you everyone for coming. Good present, great topic tonight. Great topic. And we'll see you in the funny papers maybe. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you.